for tuning in and sharing a part of your day with us. My name is Nikki Moon, and this cute little girl is KB. You want to tell me your name? Introduce yourself? No, she's acting shy this evening. But before we actually get into tonight's story, I just want to thank all of our friends and family members who have already subscribed to our channel and are sharing our videos and getting our channel name out there. We love you guys and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, everybody. Thank you so much. All right, so this is Bedtime Stories with KB and Nikki Moon, and tonight's story, this actually has a couple different stories in this one large book, but we're only going to be reading one of these stories tonight. We'll save the rest for another night. This is called Larger Than Life, The Adventures of American Legendary Heroes by Robert D. Sansuki or Susie and Andrew Glass. Well, it's illustrated by Andrew Glass. Let me just show you the illustrations in this book because this artist is super good. You can see where he's using lines to draw these pictures. And that is so talented, I think. And here's the back of the book. If you look up close, I don't know, I just think that's super cool. Just want to share that with you guys. Alright, so the story that we're going to be reading tonight is John Henry, the Steel Driving Man. Folks still talk about the night John Henry was born. Lightning flashed and the whole of Virginia shook like there was an earthquake. These events marked the birth of an extraordinary baby to the good preacher Henry and his wife. Some folks say John weighed 44 pounds the night he was born. 44 pounds. KB, do you know how much you weighed when you were born?
4 pounds.
4 pounds? I can't see your face, KB. All I see is a pillow. You want to sit up? Show me your cute little bow. Sit up a little bit. They can't see you, KB. So KB, I think she was 6 pounds, 3 ounces, or 6 pounds, 4 ounces. So imagine a 44-pound baby. That is crazy.
That's like, you can't even hold him.
Yeah, that would be hard to hold that baby around all day and carry it on your back.
You can't even carry me now.
You weigh a little bit more than that. How much do you weigh? You weighed yourself today?
Yeah.
How much do you weigh?
44 pounds.
67 pounds?
No, 44 pounds.
I think you weigh a little bit more than that, KB. All right, so
that much? I'm not past that. Like,
I think you said 67 pounds, right?
I said 100 pounds.
Oh, goodness. 100 pounds. I don't think you weigh that much. Even as a baby, John loved hammering things. By the time he was 10, he could hammer down fence posts as well as a grown man. By the age of 18, he was over 6 feet tall, weighed more than 250 pounds, and was so strong as a locomotive with muscles like steel. He could lift 2 cows with 2 hands or toss a 100-pound anvil with one. Often, while he was working on his parents' small farm, he would listen to the far-off sound of the train whistle. It was like music to his ears, and it seemed to be calling him. In the evening, while the family sat on the porch, he would say, "I'm going to be a steel driver for the railroad someday. I'm going to be the best steel driver in the whole of Virginia, maybe the whole United States." One day, a man called Little Bill stopped by Preacher Henry's for a drink of water. While he drank, he and John Henry got to talking. "Someday, I'll drive steel for the railroad," said John. Bill said, "I'm going to go work for the railroad too. They're digging tunnels through the mountains and they need good men. Why don't you hire on with me?" John Henry's mind was made up before the other man stopped talking. When his mother tried to talk him out of it, Preacher Henry said, "A man ain't nothing but a man. There's a job for him to do and we can't stand in his way." So John Henry set out with Little Bill. They went together to West Virginia. There, the friends signed on with the Chesapeake and Ohio, called the C&O Railroad Crew, working on the Big Bend Tunnel. At 1¼ miles, this would be the longest railroad tunnel in America, cutting straight through a mountain. Little Bill was hired as a shaker who held a spike in place while John Henry signed on as a driver, who hammered the steel drill into the rock to make an opening for blasting powder. Bill had to keep shaking the drill free of rock dust and get it ready for John's next swing. Another man might have been afraid of the power and speed of John Henry's blows, each driving the drill an inch deeper into the solid rock. But Bill knew his partner was keen of eye and always hit the drill straight on the head, so he never blinked once, no matter how fast John drove the steel. That is John Henry right there. He is strong.
Look, Nikki.
I see that.
Look, KB. You're KB.
Though the work was hard and the days were hot, John loved to think that his hammering was helping to make a tunnel through which trains would soon roar. Proud as John Henry was of his work, his boss, Captain Walters, was even prouder of his steel-driving giant. "He's my finest driver," he would boast. "I'd match him against any man." While the work toughened John Henry's arms, his heart was always tender, and the tenderest spot was reserved for Lucy, who worked as a maid on a plantation. She was short to his tall, coffee and cream to his ebony, and appeared cotton soft compared to his steel-hard muscles. But she was a steel-driving woman who came from a family of railroad workers. She could lay down rails second only to John Henry if she had a mind to. They would stroll the dusty country lanes in the evening hand in hand when their work was done. "Someday we're going to have our own farm near my folks," said John Henry, loving the way Lucy's face crinkled into a happy smile when she heard this. "When'll that be, John?" she asked. "When I've had my fill of railroad work," he answered, "and when we've saved up enough money to buy a place." They were married soon afterward. Preacher Henry came all the way from Virginia to perform the wedding. Little Bill was John Henry's best man, and the whole railroad crew turned out. They all chipped in and bought John a new 20-pound hammer and gave Lucy a flapjack turner big enough to flip a hot cake the size of a wagon wheel. John and Lucy set up housekeeping in one of the little wooden shanties that housed all the workers on the Big Bend. But soon word reached the tunneling crew that the owners of the C&O Railroad were thinking of buying a newly invented steam drill to replace many workers. The Yankee inventor and several C&O bosses brought the steam drill to the Big Bend for testing. The bosses planned to buy the machine if it worked as well as its inventor boasted. John Henry, Little Bill, and the other men looked at the steam drill and laughed. They called it the Iron Monster. So that is what Little Bill, had to hold while John Henry used his big hammer to knock it in. Knock that nail in, that steel in.
Like not walls.
"My machine will drill a hole faster than any 10 men, the Yankee challenged. When the bosses nodded, the crew began to fear that they would lose their jobs. John Henry thought about the farm he and Lucy were saving to buy, and he thought about trains roaring through the tunnel that folks would say was dug by a machine, not a good, honest man's work. John went to Captain Walters and said, "You go to the bosses and you say, 'I've got a man that'll beat that steam drill down. He'll show the world a man is better than that iron monster.' Then you tell him, and if he does, you got to keep all the men working until the Big Bend tunnel is finished." Sit up, KB.
I am sitting up.
The next day, Captain Walters said to the bosses, "I've got a driver, John Henry, who can swing 2 20-pound hammers. I'll match him against your machine, and he'll beat that contraption of yours to a frazzle." Because the workers were growing angry at the thought of losing their jobs, and the bosses didn't want any trouble, they agreed to a bet. They would hold a 30-minute contest, and if the steam drill could outdrill John Henry, the C&O would buy it and fire the workers. But if John Henry won, they would pay him $100, and he and the other men could keep their jobs. When Lucy heard the news, she rushed over to the tunnel mouth. It was a hot July afternoon, and she was very worried. "John, even you can't match the speed and power of that iron monster," she said. "The men are counting on me," he answered, softly kissing her. "And that $100 means we can buy our farm."
So
Besides, a man ain't nothing but a man. I gotta prove that no machine can drill better than a sledgehammer and steel in an honest man's hand. Lucy knew that she couldn't keep him from doing what he'd made up his mind to do, so she hugged him all the more tightly. Then the man-giant and the steam drill lined up side by side near the end of the tunnel, while a big crowd gathered inside. The starter dropped his flag, and the contest began. And there's Lucy. Oh, and here is...
the monster.
That's John Henry. And the Iron Monster, they call it.
Iron Monster.
Yeah, the Iron Monster and the inventor and all the people gathered around to watch the contest.
Look, it's a horse.
Mm-hmm. At first, the steam-powered drill pulled steadily ahead, but this only made John Henry slam his hammer down faster until the sound of the splitting rock was so loud that some people ran out of the tunnel thinking the mountain was cracking in half. By the time the contest was halfway over, John Henry's spikes were biting just as deep as the machines while the men cheered. Soon, John's 20-pounders were rising and falling so fast on the steel spikes that Little Bill sat down. They were almost invisible. The sweat poured down his face and he grunted as he strained to lift his hammers. But though his breath burned like fire in his lungs, John slammed away. He smiled when he saw the steam drill beginning to overheat and shake, while the Yankee inventor pulled levers and mopped his brow and muttered to himself. Between breaths, John sang, "Can't she drive 'em? Can't she drive 'em?" John pulled further ahead. His muscles were aching and the rock seemed to be growing harder, but this only made him sing louder and pound even more forcefully. Just before Captain Walters yelled time, the mechanical spike driver shook and wheezed and ground to a halt. But John Henry could not slow down at first. He drove his spike several inches deeper before he suddenly fell into the arms of Little Bill. Then the men carried him out of the tunnel. There Lucy ran to him and held his head in her lap and wiped his face with her handkerchief. "Lucy, my Lucy," he gasped. "I'm here, John," she said. "Did I beat that old steam drill?" "You did," she said, letting her tears fall like cool rain on his burning face. "No man could have done better." "Little Bill," John Henry asked, "where's my hammer?" Little Bill put John's 20-pounder in his friend's hand. "Oh, Lucy, I hear a rollin' and a roarin' in my head, like a locomotive rushin' down the tracks," John said. Then his soul boarded the train only he could see. Oh, so he is overly exhausted. I don't know if he's going to pull through this. What do you think, KB? You think he's going to live?
Look, I made a monster.
I see. Do you think he's going to live?
No.
You don't? What do you guys think? Do you think John Henry's going to pull through this? I hope he pulls through this. When they measured, they found that John Henry had drilled a hole 14 feet deep, while the steam drill had only reached 9 feet. "He was the best steel-driving man in the whole United States," said Captain Walters, and the railroad workers whose jobs had been saved by John Henry agreed as they wept along with Lucy and Little Bill. But though John Henry died that hot July day, his story has become a part of railroad life and legend. And wherever a train speeds over the tracks, some part of John Henry rides the rails with it. So that was kind of sad. John Henry passed away. But hey, he saved a lot of people's jobs and protected their family, right?
1,000,000,099, 1,000,000,099, 1,000,000,099,
You think?
1,200.
Oh my goodness.
1,000,000,099, 100.
So maybe when you guys hear a train now or see a train, you'll think of John Henry and all the jobs that he saved and how strong and how big his muscles were, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our book, our bedtime story this evening.
Can you take this off?
Yeah, I'll take it off. Let's go ahead and finish our video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video and haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we have a new bedtime story coming out.
My wiggles.
You can like, share. That would really help us out, and we appreciate that.
You ready for my wiggles?
Yep, let's see you get your wiggles out. Oh my goodness.
Wiggle, wiggle,
All right,
wiggle.
guys. Bye. Have a good night. We love you. Mwah. Bye.
Nom, 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 nom.